Have you ever heard anybody say something like, oh, that's a bad Christian, or he's not a good Christian, or he's a fake Christian? Newsflash, there's no such thing as a good Christian or a bad Christian. You know, you're either a believer or you're not a believer. And some people perpetrate and pretend to be a believer and aren't really believers. And some people can even be fooled in their mind to think that they believe, as deep as that might seem. But the Bible gives us a distinction between a living faith and a dead faith, one that saves and one that doesn't, one that produces fruit and one that doesn't produce fruit, one that will be cast into the fire and one that will be accepted by God. The separation of the goats and the sheep. You know, some people in this culture nowadays will say that it is fake to do things that are against what is natural to you. They will say it's being fake if you don't follow what is your animal instinct, I would say. You know, the things that first come naturally to you, people believe you should just do it. And this is the culture we live in. They say, you know, feed your urges, you know, live what's true to you. Whoever you think you are, be true to that. And this is completely different advice than we get from the Bible. You know, when it comes to faking it, every Christian has to fake it. And what I mean by faking it is you have to do things that aren't natural to yourself. You have to do things that you might not agree with, because we have to hold Scripture to a high authority. And that means that our own opinions and our own urges that we have in the human flesh, because the flesh is inherently sinful, we have to deny it and we have to do things that are different. You know, a lot of people believe that, you know, to love somebody, you have to have this feeling for them. But this is not what Jesus calls love. In John 14:15, we're told, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. So what Jesus calls love is the actions of keeping his commandments. So in order to love Jesus, we are to lay down our life, we are to pick up our cross, we're to bear our cross, and we're to live a certain way. And this is how we love. You know, a great quote from one of the top theologians, and I believe one of the best Christian minds of our time in the 1900s, was here from C.S. Lewis. And this is something that he said that really hits home and resonates, and I believe is completely biblical. C.S. Lewis says here, when you are behaving as if you love someone, you will presently come to love him. If you injure someone you dislike, you will find yourself disliking him more. If you do him a good turn, you will find yourself disliking him less. You know, so this is so true. You know, if you have a neighbor that you go out and you wave to every day and you smile at them, I believe that first time that you go out and you smile and you wave at that neighbor, there's going to be a little bit of fakeness about it, because you don't really know this person. You don't really know if you like them. But when you get into the routine of smiling and waving at this person every day, the more you do it, the more this love starts to grow. And after a while, that smile and that wave becomes genuine. This is the same way we have to be in our walk with Christ and with love and God. Jesus says that if you love him, you will keep his commandments. Maybe the first time you go out and tell somebody about Jesus, maybe you won't be feeling like this is something that you're meant to do. Maybe you won't even feel like it's true. But the more you continue to do it, the more you practice these things, the more natural they become, and the more your love becomes genuine. So you do have to fake it till you make it. Maybe you don't feel like being nice to somebody, or maybe you don't feel like forgiving somebody. But the more you make the actions of treating this person as if you do forgive them, the more you will learn how to genuinely forgive, and the more you will actually forgive them in your heart when you're doing it outwardly. Maybe somebody cuts you off in traffic and you want to cuss them out and you want to get mad. But if you just calm yourself down and say, you know what, it's okay, and you wave at them, maybe inside you're like really wanting to cuss. Maybe you're cursing in your head, but you don't do it outwardly. and you keep practicing these actions, the more you practice them, the more it will come genuine, to where when someone cuts you off, you won't even have the same thoughts in your head. You won't even have the same intentions in your heart. So although it may feel like you're faking at first, what you're doing is practicing holiness. You're practicing love. And this is what we have to do. In order to genuinely love, we have to practice it, even when it feels like you don't want to. So the old statement, fake it till you make it, isn't actually such a bad statement after all. A lot of people, especially in this culture, feel like this is a bad statement, like you shouldn't fake it, just be yourself, be yourself. The Bible tells us that the heart is deceitful and wicked, and that we have no way to even know it. We are deceived by our own hearts. So we know that the flesh in itself is not good. We are sinful by nature. We are hateful by nature. We love drama. We love to unleash our anger, all these type of things. So we have to understand that God knows better for us. And in order to love God, we have to keep his commandments. This is just how it happens. Right here in Hebrews 12 and 14, we read, make every effort to live in peace with everyone and to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. You know, although faith is what saves us, we're also told in the Bible that there's a difference between living faith and dead faith. The Bible tells us that without holiness, no one will live the Lord. How do we have this holiness? This holiness is a separation from the world. This holiness is a different type of living. Just like the Israelites were told to be a holy people, and they were given laws that made them holy, that separated them, the way they dress, the way they eat, the way they do everything. Although we're now under a new covenant, we still are told to live holy and live separate from other people. And that is by the way we do things. We don't follow the world, and we don't follow our urges of the flesh like the world do. People who are still under the power of the prince of the air are still slaves to their sin, and slaves to their lust, and slaves to their natural inclinations. So the things that they believe come natural to them, that they think that are making them real, are actually just making them more animal-like. To be real, we should be more like God, because we are created in the image of God. Something to think about.